The year was 2015. Splatoon was released to a thriving market. It has the killer whale. They later removed it in 2017 with Splatoon 2, along with every other special in the game. Except for that one, but he got to stay because he's a special child. 5 years later, Splatoon 3 releases. Bomb Launcher finally experiences rejection. But it seems while they were gone, the old Splatoon 1 specials have gotten busy. After being inspired by its favorite Netflix film, the killer whale has brought sextuplets into the world, passing on the legacy. The kids aren't exactly fully developed yet. The Killer Whale 5.1 is a simple 6 lasers that you lock onto enemies and fire at them. After you activate it, you can still fire and move about with no trouble. The only thing you do with it is aim in your opponent's general direction so it can lock on. The lasers lock on in groups of 2, one after the other, meaning you can have multiple enemies targeted by different lasers. The lasers fire through walls, have infinite range, and enemies can't get rid of them after they're locked on. The damage is gradual, but can pile up quickly if you stay there for too long. It's cool and all, but it's been over a year. We're kind of past the period where you could fire this thing at someone from across the map and they'd randomly die from it. The thing about any strategy, weapon, anything, is that after enough time the general player base will learn how to deal with it. It's not that hard, you just walk to the side. So yes, it's gotten worse over time, but it's not horrible. Think about Wavebreaker. It almost never kills anything on its own, but it's still good. It forces enemies to move, and when they're forced to move, how they do it is much more predictable. Killer Whale is similar. It's pretty much never gonna do much more than some chip damage, but they're forced to move, which makes them more predictable and easier to hit. And that chip damage actually does help, as it can often break thresholds for kills, break up backlines, set up 1v1s, butter people up before they get to you. There's a lot of ways to use it, but it can feel a little underwhelming. People move in this game. Good players are probably gonna try to circle you regardless of if you have them targeted, and the damage from the whales often doesn't feel like it makes much of a difference. Actually, let's just go over the weapons with this thing real quick. That matters a lot with a special like this. Probably the one I'm most qualified to talk about. With how aggressive 52 is, it needs something to keep its fights going. But after Splatoon 2, Nintendo just doesn't want to give it another survivability special. I wonder why. So instead of giving you a shield, we can use Wail to help us in fights, making them easier so we can survive longer. Enemies are forced to move in a more predictable way, and you can track them down if they try to retreat. And hey, maybe if you're lucky, you'll finish them off. Sploosh Neo is in a similar spot. The weapon wants to force itself in enemies' faces and kill them before they even realize someone's there. A tool to start fights can definitely be used. Inkbrush is so similar in this regard, it's crazy. Get close, take them out fast, use Wail to start fights and get some extra chip damage in. Bamboozler isn't trying to start fights as much as it is trying to make aiming easier. Force them to move one way, often into your crosshair, or finish them off if they get cornered. Splattershot Nova, oh boy. Yeah, this thing isn't good. It's an inconsistent main weapon with a sub that fails to make a real difference most of the time, and Killer Whale. I mean, it's fine for that extra 4 damage, but the most this weapon can do is pressure the enemy without the consequences for standing up to the pressure. Let me tell you about the war, kiddo. Long-range main weapon watching the trenches of Wahoo World. He has a point sensor on me and knows my every move. That whale is ready to pop and force me around to no end. With everything telling me it was a bad idea, I went in anyways. And, he couldn't really do that much because he was using a Nova. Shit. Accuracy matters a lot in a game, especially at long ranges, and the kill time just feels inconsistent. Tri-Stringer can very frequently aim slightly too far to the right and leave them on their last limb, but Wail and the Little Air Mines can combine to make a very good area denial tool. By no means without problems, but things get far worse. Finally, the Rapid Blaster Pro Deco. Say that 10 times fast. There's still not much different here. Force them to move, keep your distance, kill. You know, that's actually the real issue with this thing. Of all the things I mentioned, it's only good at forcing movement. And that really doesn't do much a lot of the time. In plenty of situations, regardless of whether or not you had Wail on someone, you'd kill them. Bamboo and Rapid Pro don't even get that many wails because they just aren't great at painting. The lasers are so slow that sometimes they don't even do enough damage to break thresholds for Nova or Bamboo. When you have to work for something, it better be consistent, and it's just not. The Killer Wail 5.1 can do two things. It can force movement, which they were probably going to do anyways, and it will maybe do a bit of damage. But I still wouldn't call it bad. They were likely going to move anyways, but a lot of the time, it's not how they'd like to. Any bit of help can be useful, especially for some of the weapons it's on. It's a B tier special, honestly. If I had to fix it, I'd probably just increase the speed the lasers adjust. But the real solution is to just make it count as an assist even if the lasers didn't do any damage like a point sensor. I swear this will fix everything.